the minute she got to the United States. Could we take a look at part of what Akombe had to say, even as she resigned? There we go. She says the commission has become a party to the current crisis. The commission is under siege. It has become increasingly difficult to continue attending plenary meetings where commissioners come ready to vote along partisan lines and not discuss the merit of issues before them. As a matter of fact, she had an interview and she was asked whether or not she thinks other commissioners are under siege. And she was categorical and specific on IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati and how well prepared he is to oversee the repeat presidential election as well. We'll talk about that with you as we go on with this bulletin. Could we move to the next spot? Just touching on what Akombe had to say. She acknowledges that the Supreme Court gave them orders to organize the presidential election within 60 days and goes on to say the current political conditions did not exist on the 1st of September when the order was issued, basically mentioning that a couple of things have changed and maybe the commission may not be in a place to conduct a free, fair and credible election. She says it would therefore have been logical for the commission to be frank with the Kenyan people and clearly state the challenges we face in organizing a free, fair and credible election. As a matter of fact, I do understand that IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati is set to hold a press briefing any minute from now. We cannot really anticipate what exactly he is about to say, but our Duncan Khaemba, he's on the ground, will try and figure out what exactly he wants to say. Akombe goes on to say we need just a few men and women of integrity to stand up and say that we cannot proceed with the election on 26th October 2017 as currently planned. Wow. So that just coming 8 days to the October 26th repeat presidential polls, and there have been that conversation whether or not this election should be postponed in the interest of the country, whether or not there are reforms that need to be taken at the IEBC just to ensure that this will be a free, fair, credible election. And she says maybe it's time we have a serious conversation, the IEBC has a serious conversation with Kenyans and just let them know the true position of the commission, whether or not they're able to oversee this repeat election. Like I mentioned, IBC Chair Wafula Chebukati is expected to give a presser any minute from now from the Bomas of Kenya. We'll cover that for you. Akombe goes on to say we need the commission to be courageous and speak out, that this election as planned cannot meet the basic expectations of a, quote, credible election. And that is what everyone is looking forward to, a credible election. And she says, not when the staff, we cannot have a credible election, not when the staff are getting last-minute instructions on changes in technology and electronic transmission of results. Part of the reason why Akombe says she had to tender in her resignation. And she says, we cannot have a credible election, not when in parts of the country the training of presiding officers is being rushed for fear of attacks from protesters. And on this, we do know that there is an incident that happened in Kisumu. We'll be speaking to Rashid Ronald in a couple of minutes. There was some training that was taking place there and it was interrupted. So we'll try and see if we can speak to Rashid Ronald and just understand what exactly were the circumstances under which that particular training was disrupted, what happened, who was involved. We understand there have been some arrests as well in Kisumu. We'll be speaking to Rashid Ronald as we go on with this bulletin. Could we move on to the next spot on the reasons that Akombe gave? She says the country cannot have a credible election, not when commissioners and staff are intimidated by political actors and protesters and fear for their lives. As a matter of fact, in a live TV interview, she was very categorical that she had to leave the country because she fears for her life. And no, she does not have any intention of coming back to the country anytime soon. She says she fears for her life. And she goes on to say, the country cannot have a credible election, not when senior secretariat staff and commissioners are serving partisan political interests, not when the commission is saddled with endless legal cases in the courts. Part of the reasons why Akombe says she just couldn't take it anymore. And she said, talked about losing most of them, not when legal advice is skewed to fit partisan political interest. So we are giving you the reasons why Roselyne Akombe resigned just 8 days to October 26th repeat presidential poll.